again. Have you had enough of the Australian Open and the Winter Olympics and been most impressed with the athletic prowess of the stars? I've spent quite a lot of time over the last few weeks watching television. But one of the things that did impress me was the number of ads presenting remedies for overweight, whether it be diet, meals and so on, or whether it be supplements to help reduce one's weight. But then in today's text, Jesus has an answer for us. Yesterday, Jesus spent the time speaking with the scribes and Pharisees about their legal addiction to the traditions and how they'd forgotten the spirit and how they'd forgotten that the person is more important than the letter of the law. Today he changes his focus from the scribes and Pharisees to the whole crowd that is gathered around. And he says, "Listen, all of you, and understand. It does not matter what goes into a person that makes him unclean, but what comes out." In other words, he made all food clean, which in the Jewish context was a little difficult because pork is still a forbidden food amongst the Jews. And that comes from the protection of the people 3,000 years ago when they were in the desert, and many times they'd be hungry. But the law that they were given was, don't eat the pigs, because they are riddled with disease. They are wild. And Jesus is saying in his time, look, we are now established in the promised land. The pigs we have are farmed. They are clean. And the food we grow is clean. So all foods are parts of God's creation and are given for the life of us all. So when they finished, they go into the house, and the disciples once again asked Jesus, "Would you explain the parable to us?" And once again, as in Mark is typical, Jesus throws his eyes to heaven and he says, "Oh, do you still not understand?" He said, "Whatever goes into the stomach passes through to the sewer. But what goes into the heart comes out in adverse relationships." And Jesus is making a distinction there about food as food and the response of the heart to our relationships. And it's rather beautiful that all foods are clean, regardless of what your diet requires. They are clean. They won't make you unclean. But what comes out of the heart, that will make you unclean. Because as Jesus gives a litany there to the disciples, where he says it's pride, it's jealousy, it's exploitation, it's putting others down. All this stuff comes out of the heart. And that is what makes a person unclean. And so the question I have then for us today is, with what do we feed the heart? Do we feed the heart with values? Do we feed the heart with truth? Do we feed the heart with empathy or compassion? Because if we do, we will be clean. But if we don't, if we feed the heart more with jealousy or pride or superiority or revenge, then we will be classified as unclean. And so, what do? Do we watch a lot of television? But what television? Do we read a few books? But what books? Do we read the papers? And what articles in the paper? With what do we nourish our spirit, our heart, so that we might produce fruit, like the good fruit? The good tree, produces good fruit. And so we're left with the question, it's not so much what we eat that matters, but rather what eats us. Do we allow untruths? Do we allow bad sayings about people? Do we allow things like that to get into our heart and move us to act? Or do we nourish our heart with what I would consider at least an occasional reading of the Scriptures, of the Gospels? Give God a chance to touch your heart with His Word. Allow Him in just to speak so that you might listen. And how many times He invites us to listen so that His Word can touch our heart and we can produce good fruit. So try and give Him that little space so that we can nourish, nurture and feed our heart with what gives life and love to us and to everybody else. God bless and have a good week.